Welcome to the Sisterhood of Sweat. I am so excited to have Susie Carder today as my special guest. I just want to welcome her, just a huge welcome. I went to Motivating the Masses and she inspired me so much, you guys, that I truly want you to tune in and ask questions in the live feed today and just really get engaged because she has a lot to bring. And so I'm just, without any further ado, I'm just going to dive right into reading a little bit about Susie so you guys know a little bit more about her. Susie has had over 20 years of documented business success. She has operated two $10 million companies with no formal school education, and she sold them for millions of dollars. She is the creator of the Predictable Success Method and president and COO for Motivating the Masses. Susie has worked with top leaders in the world of business, including Lisa Nichols, Steve Harvey, Zenobia Andrews, Carrie Murphy, Doug Carter, Redken, Paul Mitchell, Thompson Learning, Dell, and many more. Susie is not your average business coach. She has helped thousands of businesses achieve exponential growth, create radical business strategies, and blast from ordinary to explosive. Welcome this little dynamo to the Sisterhood of Sweat.
I love being part of the Sisterhood of Sweat. That's my
mantra. I love it. How do you get your sweat on?
Oh my God. I bought, for Christmas this year, I got a Peloton. And can I just say, game changer. I love it. Love that. I do a thing called Pure Barre, which is kind of a Pilates yoga blend. Those are my two favorite. And, and then riding out on the trails and biking. And so love it. It keeps you balanced. You got to have something that keeps your mind right when you're an entrepreneur and playing big in the world. And it really helps manage my stress and my stamina. Because what we do as entrepreneurs, right? It takes a lot of stamina. And this is my vehicle. This is my temple. I got to keep it fine-tuned. Just like my beautiful car I have in the garage. This is my beautiful vehicle to help me change lives and create prosperity worldwide.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better. I feel like when you're taking care of your health, even like if I go outside and I'm running on a beautiful day, I get downloads like crazy because I'm getting all my juices flowing. And I can't wait to get some of the juice today from Susie. She is so motivating. I was so inspired by your story at Motivating the Masses. It was very moving. Can you tell the audience a little bit about Bootstrap to BigTime, like basically how you were kind of at rock bottom, though you had made it in the business world, but you lost everything and then you came back? I love these kind of stories.
Woo, let's come out right out the gate, Linda.
We're out of the gate.
Right. Well, first, I started my training and development business in 1995. And before that was a hairdresser and was a very successful hairdresser. I made a 6-figure income working 3 days a week. So I was doing about $250,000 a year, 3 days a week. And I got bored, I'm like, what else is there to do? And that's how I started speaking and training, but for that industry, for the beauty industry. So I took all those tools and templates and systems and taught people how to run the business of beauty. And we became the top 1% in the nation, top 10% in the world. And that was all by the dollars that we produced and how we made that happen. And we sold, me and my partner and I, my husband, at the time, he's my husband now, but he was my husband then. Sold that business for millions. And that was, we bootstrapped that business. Every dollar in, 50 cents went to pay overhead. Our overhead, 50% went back into the business, and grew it to a multi-million-dollar company and then sold it for a multi-million-dollar deal, which was really exciting because my education is bootstrapped as well. I came from a family of 9. There was 9 kids: Bobby, Ronnie, Stevie, Terry, Joni, Shelley, Susie, Kelly, Debbie. So my dad's philosophy was no, nothing about education. Go get a job and go get a husband. That's what you do, right? So
Yeah.
I didn't have a formal education. My education was I'd, come to podcasts like this. Or we didn't have podcasts back in the day. Let me just say, I'm a little seasoned, but
Yeah, right. This is awesome because you can connect with such a larger audience.
right. So, I'd go to the bookstore and I'd get business books, I'd get marketing books. I'm like, okay, how do I implement it in this business? And so I have an amazing education. I just don't have, the degree. The only degree I have is a PhD, which is your public high school diploma.
I love that.
So, we sold that business for millions. And in 2009, we had bought real estate. We'd really accumulated wealth. We accumulated about $10 million in wealth. And I really didn't have to work anymore. Like I was really at a place where I could choose to work. I could choose to take clients. I only had one client, which was Lisa. Everything else we walked away from. We walked away from that business and went, okay, well, I don't really need to work. So, we traveled the world. And then 2009 happened. And 2009, y'all know, that was the hell on hell, right? And
right. It was, yeah,
we lost,
it was terrible.
90% of our wealth. And I remember thinking, I was 45 going, I don't have 20 more years to rebuild it. I can't. One, you're exhausted, two, just the financial climate of just what it felt like overnight, which was about 3 years a span from the time the market crashed to really the domino effect of everything happening. I was devastated, and I remember just being on the floor crying because you all have that moment, right? That pity party moment.
Yeah. And that is the moment. That is the life-changing moment.
Oh, I was like, why? And not why me, like whatever stuff happens, but just why? I had been a good steward. I had been a good student. Like I did everything right. I saved money. I didn't blow it. I gave back to my community, just like humbled on my knees. And I heard Linda, I will never leave you and I'll never forsake you. This will be your biggest lesson and your biggest victory. Get up. And I just want to cry. I'm like, I don't want to get up.
Yeah, you're just like, why is this happening? I've done everything right and you don't understand.
Right. Well, and here I am, a business coach, right? I wasn't coined the profit coach at that time. I was business system strategy. So there was shame wrapped around my failure. Like, well, who am I? I'm a fraud. I can't talk about successful business and then I have this collapse. But, every failure, it leads to success. You can't have one without the other. Right. And what's been amazing about it right now, I'm on the other side. So I can look back and go, that was amazing. Amazingly hard, but look what I did. So I was able to get up off the floor and really put my head down. And, Lisa was one of my first clients, Motivating the Masses. And then I started building other clients and completely turned her business around. I started focusing on others, not myself. Like, get out of my head, get out of my crap, quit, suck it up, cupcake, and let me make you more successful. Let me make you more successful because I do know how to do that. And slowly was able to rebuild my wealth, and it didn't take me 1 year. It didn't take me 2 years. It took me 5 years to rebuild what it took 20 years to build because I knew the system of money. It's like when we fail, Linda, sometimes we just forget like all the stuff that we did. For some reason, I was like, oh, that went away. No, it didn't go away. It's in my DNA.
You think it's just all over.
Yeah, it's who you are. It's kind of when you work out. Like if you don't work out for a month, that muscle memory just pops right back in, So it's the same thing. That muscle memory started popping back in and going, and really helped shape Motivating the Masses and create a multi-million-dollar entity there and help my other clients build strong foundations to build multi-million-dollar businesses. Right? Because that you've got to have a foundation in place. And that gave me the breath to go, I had to just get out of my own way and quit thinking about myself and my own pity party and focus on what's the work I do in the world. And when I do that work in the world, good comes back.
So you focused on what you can do instead of what you don't have or no longer have, because life happens. Life happens to all of us. And at some point in your life, you're gonna lose something and you are gonna be like, why, and I mean, how did you pull yourself back up? What are some steps that you took to move forward? I mean, because that was devastating to lose your husband, lose millions of dollars all at once.
Yeah. So I created, I don't know if you've heard of the company Lifebook. And so Lifebook is just a training program that it's all about rebuilding your life. And I was really in a place of reinvention. And I had to redefine what success was, because before success, I'd built this multi-million-dollar business and I was an icon in that industry. And literally overnight, I was nobody, what it felt like, right? I'm like, nobody knows me. Who am I? And it had a lot of male energy around it. Like my job was it was my identity. My success was my identity, which is very masculine energy. And, totally tapped out of the feminine side of me. So I went in and I reinvented my health, my wealth, my character, my emotional intelligence, my physical surroundings. I reinvented my connection with nature, reinvented my connection with my body, reinvented my connection with my children and the relationships I was in. So I disrupted everything. I said, I can't be my past, so I've got to recreate my future. And I can't be my future holding on to my past. I've got to let go of my past and go, the lessons I learned were beautiful. Now let me reinvent this next season of my life. Because my husband and business partner of 20 years after we sold the business, which I didn't want to sell originally. That was his plan. That was he's talked me into it, and I agreed. I'm not saying I'm a victim here. I agreed. And I went along.
Right. It sounded like a good idea at the time, right?
Oh, I was so pissed off, right? When everything started falling apart, I was like blaming him and making him wrong. And then when the market crashed, it crashed everything. It crashed our marriage. It crashed our foundation. It crashed what we knew. So we ended up getting a divorce. So not only did I lose my business, not only did I lose my wealth, I lost my best friend, so I was in this complete nothing. Yeah. And but one daughter went away to college. The other one was just getting married. So I'm like, I had empty nest, 50,000%, right? Like, oh my gosh, how do you do that? So I started just refocusing on the future, and I create a premise for every area of my life, a financial premise, a spiritual premise, and then a strategy. So inside we're some people are good with business, and put their strategy together, but it has to be in every area of your life. The strategy for how am I going to, create the new me? What is that? How am I going to develop my character now? What are my most important values right now? Right? Versus borrowing from the past. So I use my experience from the past, but it couldn't be my future. So it was a complete disruption. And I want to say that it happened quickly, but it didn't. Like it was a really trying time. And I leaned on my community. I leaned on my girlfriends. I really dove in and said, I need you. And I don't know how to ask for help like that. That in itself, Linda, was one of the hardest things I did to say.
That's because you're in your masculine energy.
Raise your hand going, I need help, right? And so I fell on the sword and said, I need support. I need to get out of my home. I need to go out and meet people, and not that I was interested in dating, but I just needed to get out, right? To go, let me feel breath again. Let me feel community again. And so I definitely would not have made that turn. It took really about 3 years of planning and implementation and head down and focus and calling on my girlfriends, right? You've got to have that ride or die community that can support you, because they are the people that kept picking me up. I couldn't hold my arms up anymore. They'd hold my arms up, right? If I wanted to cry, they held me when I cried, right? When I didn't think I could, because there was times where I remember talking to Lisa and I'm like, well, who am I now? Right? I don't have these accolades anymore. And she started laughing at me. I'm like, that's not funny. She goes, who are you now? Oh my gosh, let's look at everything that you created. This is just a new season.
Because you were defining yourself by your success.
Yes. And my accumulation of success. I grew up poor. Right. So that was a badge of honor. Like we came from nothing. We really, when you say poor, we were poor. That was 9 kids. We had 1,200 square feet. Right. So 11 people living in a house with 1 bathroom, 6 girls, that like to really create the kind of wealth that I did was a huge badge of honor for me. to go, I've made it. And then to have the rug pulled out from under you going, whoopsie.
Oh my gosh.
Humbling, very humbling. And character building. I built a lot of character in that time.
Well, diamonds are made under fire, right? I mean, you're like that's like the diamond in the rough. And I think when you lose everything, you have nothing left to lose. And but you had yourself, you still had you.
Yeah.
You just momentarily were like it was basically like someone dropped like a bomb on you, and it exploded, and it was the aftermath. Now,
every area was disrupted. It wasn't just one area, right?
It was your whole life blew up.
Yes.
Right? So how important is it? How did you come out of that and make a new definition for yourself? Because I think a lot of us define ourselves by the friends we have, the cars we drive, the money in our bank account, the title of our job. How did you come up with like a new definition of what success or who you are?
Well, a lot of that was inside of, prayer. I know everybody has different spiritual beliefs, whatever that is, but I had to get quiet. I had to get really quiet and still to go, what do I want for my family life now? Because, family life looked different than when I was married. And now I'm a single mom again. And what does that look like? My kids are grown, or transitioning. So I didn't have day to day, taking care of them, but you still redefining who am I as a parent. And I think people go through that when they go through this transition, when their kids leave or there's another transition. You just do it in segments, right? So you might leave a job and go to another one. You might, have some financial devastation, but you still have your support team, right? I just blew everything up and then had to reinvent it. So creating, a premise of what do I want in every area of my life? What do I want for my family? What do I want for my kids? What do I want for, if I had to reinvent work? Because I also signed a non-compete with the company I sold my business with. So I couldn't go back in that industry, which that industry was all I knew. I was doing some entrepreneurial coaching, but not a lot of it. I'd been being in that industry for about, I would say 5 years, but my primary was still this other industry. So now I had signed a non-compete when I sold that business. So I had to change. I couldn't go back and go, let me just go make money here. Right. To go,
Yeah. Like you definitely had a challenge.
Right.
Mildly. That's putting it mildly.
Right. Which was all good. Right. So it was the thing that really redefined me. So in a lot of ways, it was the best thing to do to be able to reinvent Susie Carder today, and, looking at my health and well-being. I had been in 10 car accidents in my lifespan. And so I can't do what I used to be able to do physically. And I had to reinvent that to go, not being mad that I'm in pain, chronic pain every day, to go, if you're in chronic pain every day, what do you have to do to manage it? Don't want to pop Advil, don't want to pop drugs. What do I have to do? So my lifestyle, everything had to change to go, let me reinvent from the ground up. And again, it wasn't an easy process, right? It was a diligent process. I was consistent. I had discipline because I knew what I wanted. I wanted to rebuild. I wanted to rebuild my wealth for me because, now I'm all by myself, right? I don't have that partnership of my marriage or my husband. I don't have family and go, hey, can I sleep on your couch? I didn't have that kind of family. Look, they're none of us. They didn't want me back. They're like, I had friends and community, but I've always been that solopreneur, lone ranger, So I really had to pull up my bootstraps and really pull up my big girl panties and go, I know who I am in the essence of me. Let me do what I know how to do. And so I had 2 clients that I started focusing on to generate the income. And then the way that I negotiated the deal so that I could put everything in is I got a percentage of increase. So that allowed me some financial freedom to do my magic. I am the money. I create money everywhere around me. When I take on a client, I take it on as if this is my business, here's what I'm going to do. So I'll disrupt the business, but I'm going to hold your hand while I disrupt the business. right? I'm not just saying, oh, change this by, I'm in there with my clients, rolling up my sleeves, holding their hand, showing them it's possible, to create the transformation that they need to get for where their business is.
And you basically evolved again to making, over 5 million or more, and totally transformed. You were back, in 5 years' time. How important was it to have a plan? How important was it for you to have a plan in place to be successful? How important is it for us to have a business plan so we are successful?
Yeah, the business plan, the life plan, and your business plan, right? So the business plan is just a piece of your life plan, right? Because business is a little tiny chunk, and it's a big chunk, but I still am a mom. I'm still, a woman in relationship. I'm still a daughter. I'm still a girlfriend, right? I'm still all these other things. I have educational goals that I have for myself. So my intellect is important to me. So if you're not clear what those things are, then the universe does whatever the universe does. And then you're kind of like, a ball in the sea where it goes out, it comes back, it goes out, it comes back. I want to be a ship in the sea. I want to have the rudder. I want to have the boat. I want to go. I want to steam full steam ahead. Without the plan, you're at the whims of nature, right? And consciously and unconsciously, your mind goes to whatever you're planting inside of your mind. So if you plant nothing, right, then it's what I'm planting in your mind, right? So it's putting down what is your vision, what is your future. And in business, and I coach thousands of business professionals every year. And the thing that amazes me is we jump full in and we spend a boatload of money and we're not clear what the objective is. We're not clear how many customers we need. We're not clear what it's really going to cost us. And then we get upset or we're having a bad month or a bad quarter and we're freaking out because we didn't plan for that. So a business plan gives us the foundation to look at what do I need to do in sales and how many sales do I need to produce to hit my revenue goal? What do I need to do in marketing? Who's that client, my ideal client? Because we've all had clients before that weren't our ideal client. I'm not willing to work with someone that's not my ideal client anymore. Right? It's a choice.
Because you can work with time wasters, people that aren't really serious and they waste your time in theirs.
Right.
Yeah.
Not value
and your energy.
Yeah, not value you. And you're pushing them uphill. Like you believe in them or they believe in themselves.
Right. You're carrying them on your back.
It's like someone hiring you to work with you and then they're going to eat Cheetos all day long. Like, why are you paying me? That makes no sense. And you're eating Cheetos all day long. So, putting that plan in place to go, now I can see clearly. Once you can see clearly, then you just start working the plan. And you don't get distracted by the shiny objects because there's so many shiny objects out there with social media, right? Opportunities when you're out to go, wait, is this in my plan or is it not in my plan? Right? So getting really clear what that is and then getting the discipline in place. I had a call, it was an impromptu but a call. And I was amazed at how many entrepreneurs came. It's the middle of the day. Now I know exceptions the rule, but it's the middle of the day and someone had just gotten a facial and, I just had my yoga class. I'm like, dude, you're complaining about not making money, but you're doing random acts in the middle of the day. Like you have to have the discipline, just like a job, to go, I'm going to start at this time, end at this time. Now, I know that everybody has varied schedules and some people are working through the night and that makes sense, but that's not my experience. My experience is people get distracted by the sparkle and the shiny, but then yet complain that they're not making the kind of money they want. They don't have the kind of business that they want. And there is a discipline. I'm not saying it has to be hard, but there is a discipline. Just like working.
I believe that 100%.
Yeah, just like working out. That is a discipline. I don't want to get up at 6 a.m., but that's the only time I can do it. So if I say I want abs of steel and a high butt, at 50, I gotta get my booty out of bed to get the result that I want. Sleeping
Consistency is the key. Yeah.
Sleeping is great, but it's not going to give me that high booty.
Well, you hang around me long enough, you'll be in shape. That's what my friends tell me. because, I'm going to be working out. You're going to be working out, and then you're going to be getting stronger. And I'm going to teach you a little bit about nutrition, and you're going to start eating a little better. It's just all these stuffs put together, just like in business. Now, I know I have to have a why to get up at 6, to be at work at 6, to do boot camp at 6. I have to have a strong reason why to get out of the covers. So how important is it for business owners to not only be clear on their why, but their reason to be, strong from the heart, like their purpose, like your wall?
Yeah, your why has to be that thing that calls you forth. And really, I always say, if you're not passionate about what you do, go find something else, right? You have to be willing to want to do this for free. Right. And I did it for free for years for people. I was trying to figure out the model of how do I package this thing called business coaching and training and speaking and, but I loved it. So it wasn't work for me. And my work still is not work for me. Right. I love what I do, and I love my clients, and I love finding money, and I love showing them here's the money. I love when people go, oh, you make this complicated thing so easy. So it has to be that calling for you. Like for me, my work is my life purpose. I make a difference with humanity every single day and change the lives for the betterment of humanity. And if you look at, I'm a business coach, but it's for the betterment of humanity. Because if I know that if I support you, Lyndon, making more money, then you're going to help your family. You're going to help your clients. The stress is going to be gone, right? My work brings me happiness, joy, abundance. I'm a student of the work that I do, so that I can contribute to people and keep serving them. My work creates financial wealth for myself and my family. God has designed the perfect opportunity for me. That's my why with work. Now you'll notice I didn't say anything about the widgets and gadgets of what I do, but that's the thing that calls me forth. That's the thing that has me get out of bed. That's the thing that has me write another book. That's the thing that has you do another interview in the middle of a hectic day, is to go, because I get to meet new people and I get to touch the lives, whether they end up working with me or this is the touch that I have, to go, I want to sprinkle some magic fairy dust to give someone possibility that if I could be on the floor, devastated, broken, scared, lost, alone, and I got my booty up, so can you. To go, it takes a tribe, it takes a community, it takes support. You can't do it alone. It's lonely doing it alone. Like we're a bunch of lonelypreneurs. And I don't want us to be lonelypreneurs. I started doing what I do so that I could help other women so they didn't have to go through what I went through, right? Oh, yeah. Back in the day when primarily men were teaching business, there wasn't a lot of women business teachers. And I just wanted to see myself. I wanted to see I wanted to see someone beautiful, successful, talking about principles and talking about how do you balance family and kids and marriages and relationships and cook dinner or not cook dinner. Like, what do you do? Right? And how do you make money? So all of that encompassed. So that's a long-winded answer to the question.
You made my eyes sting a little there. I love it. I love it. I love talking about motivation and purpose and the reason why we're here. And, being clear about your decisions, because you are making decisions every day. So why not be clear about them, right? Now,
consciously or unconsciously.
Right. Either way, you are making a decision. So why not make something that takes you closer to what you really want in your heart of hearts? Now, I know some of us are confused out there about what that is. How do we discover what our true purpose is?
So I want you to really think of Barbara DeAngelis. I worked with her many years ago. She's a relationship coach. And so she talks about sometimes that your life's work isn't your job. Sometimes your life's work is your life's work, and your job provides you the opportunity to do your life's work. So, some people it's animals. For you, it's fitness, right? For me, it's money and business. To go, what's that thing that brings me joy? And then how do I get to do more of it? And sometimes your job just provides you the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, right. I want to motivate, inspire, and empower women to live in their greatest selves and confidence. And I feel like through fitness, through podcasting, and all the things I do, that enables me to live my purpose.
Right. And you use this vehicle called fitness. Like you brought all the elements of what you do together in this package. So the first thing, you got to get quiet, right? You got to get quiet. There's God's knocking, right?
So you got to listen.
Yeah, he's either knocking softly and you're going, what is that ticking noise? What's that ticking noise?
Is that really God? No.
Wait, I heard something. Like imagine, me on the floor going, I'll never leave you, I'll never forsake you. Get up and you're like, what's that annoying? Like, and I didn't listen to it. So a lot of times you're getting the wisdom is coming to you. I call it God, you call it what you want. The wisdom is coming, but we're not listening. That mind chatter is screaming so loud to go, let me get in a place of quietness. Like my downloads come when I'm in a massage, right? Your download comes when you're working out, but mine comes in a massage and it comes, which is great. So I have to schedule a 90-minute to 2-hour massage because it's so much is coming in. And that's one of the times I can really quiet my mind. When I meditate, sometimes I fall asleep because I'm playing so hard. I'm like a little kid.
I have a hard time with meditation. I need to work on it.
So you go, what's the vehicle that has me listen, right? And when I started this, like the voice came in, I'm like, I don't know how to, I don't want to be a speaker. And it was like, speak and like, this sounds corny, but it's like, speak and they'll come. I'm like, speak? Well, I was marketing my salon and spa back then. And so back then I'm like, well, if I go speak to women's organizations, I can speak to 30 people and have, 10 people come versus going and meet 10 people individually. Now I was scared to death, knees knocking, teeth chattering, throwing up, going to the bathroom every time before I spoke. Like it was horrible. But on the other side, it was euphoric, right? So that was my first experience with going through that metamorphosis of I'm going to do the hard stuff to get to the good stuff. Because I loved it at the end. Like I had no formal training. I just did it and went, let me share with you like how to be a more successful businesswoman by taking care of your image, right? It's just so really find what that thing is and listen to the voice, listen to the whispers and get a journal, right? Get a journal. And as kooky as they sound, you have to investigate it, right? To go, okay, that sounds kooky. Now there's a part of me that I love, and you've been to our events, so I'm funny, right? And so there's that comedic sense of me that every now and then I hear, you need to go do a stand-up comedian act. I'm like, oh, hell no, I'm not doing that because I'm not going to talk about nothing. Like mine just organically comes out, right? So I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to write that down in my book and we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, I know. I get downloads all the time about things I'm supposed to do. And you kind of sit back at times like, well, really, me? You want me to do what? And am I really hearing that, or is that for real? And you get scared. It's because partly it could fear, right? A little bit.
Well, and some of it's our limiting belief.
Yeah.
It's, well, why, who says I have the credibility or I have the right to do that?
Yeah.
Well, I did. Like you did. You just said, I'm going to do a podcast. Let me figure out how to do it. Right? You either research.
Oh yeah, I sat back, I researched it and sat back watching, paying attention, checking it all out, wanting to do it for an entire year before I did.
Right.
Yeah.
So, that was the knock, and if it keeps coming, don't ignore it. But
yeah, the speaking one has been knocking and knocking. Yeah. That's why I went to Speak and Write. Yeah. Yeah, it wouldn't leave me alone. So I'm like, all right, I'll go to this Speak and Write thing and see what, all about speaking, because I'm already writing. I'm speaking on a podcast, but you know what I mean? Speaking to an audience and having a message to bring.
Right. Delicious.
So if you had a message that you wanted to say to everybody out there today, what would it be?
I would say get really clear on your purpose. If you own a business, get really clear on what the purpose of the business is. I would surround yourself with your super sheroes. Those are women as heroes, and create that tribe that when the smallness comes in, when that voice comes in, when the self-doubt comes in, that you can borrow their strength. Because you'll need their strength. And your strength is what holds us together. And too long in our history, we have been combating each other. And I got to tell you, my life is unrecognizable for my superhero friends, the people that pick me up when I'm down. Because you got to have them in your tribe. You got to have them in your back corner. And you got to love what you do.
Yeah, it's your sisterhood. It's about building your sisters up and supporting them and not competing with them and not gossiping about them, which really is like killing a piece of their soul. It's about just giving to each other and knowing that, like, if you rise, I rise too. We all have our strengths.
Right.
And I totally agree with you on just having that support is everything. It's everything. And so the more we can come together as women and give each other the support, the better our lives are. And, we can't get everything from like our man. We need our sisters.
Right. And you got to raise your hand. You got to go pick me.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, right? I need help. Like, I'm just like you. I live a lot in my masculine energy because I had to leave a very abusive situation behind once upon a time with 2 children and pull my big girl panties up and figure it out. And so it makes you strong, but sometimes, you forget that you could ask for help.
Right.
Right.
Well, I think once you're labeled strong, then you feel like you can't ask for help because you're like, I'm strong, I should handle it. But there's some things that's just easier when you have a community that can, support you alongside of that. I'm not saying let them enable you. I'm just saying, find those few people that you can call upon, right? And get yourself a coach. Get yourself someone that's 10 steps ahead of you. Whether that's fitness, a fitness coach has always been in my life, right? Because I got to have somebody that's willing to hold me accountable, hold me to the carpet, that says, I thought you said you were committed to this. I've always had a business coach, someone that's playing 10 steps ahead of me, but always invested money in that. And I've always had, financial coaches, tax strategists, and long-term financial savings. Even in my darkest days, I had my mentorship and my coaches around me to help me get back on track quicker, faster, right? We can shave learning curves and years off of people's life when you know what system to do, right? So I help people inside of their money. You help people inside their wealth. Which is their health, is their wealth.
Right. That's right? Their biggest wealth. Because if you don't have health, you can't buy it.
Right. So all that stuff is foundational to go, who do I need that can pour into me or help me? Right? Versus why am I struggling to do this alone? And it takes, it is investing. It's scary, right? I'm doing a huge marketing campaign. I'm spending a ton of money right now. And it's scary because you're like, I have the plan in place, but there's still that nervousness, because you're spending money to go, I'm risking beginning, to keep playing.
You're always going to be scared of the unknown. You're going to be scared, and you could be stuck in that, or you could just be scared and do it anyway, because I think we're all a little scared. Like when I opened my business, when I wrote my first book, I'm now going to open another business. It's scary because it's risk. It's risk. What are some of the common financial mistakes that you see businesses make?
Yeah, the first one is not clear on your finances. So it's a budget, but it's more than a budget. It's your budget, and then what's everything attached to that. We all have a guesstimate, but on paper, looking at your computer, however you do it, and then tracking those finances, right? And the difference between cash versus sales, right? Because in a lot of businesses, you can get the cash in, but if they're on payment plans and they're paying you, that's different than you getting the money in. So your budget and then your forecast of how much money do I need? Because we're a lot of business owners, and it doesn't matter if it's $100,000 business or $1 million business. I see this all over the board. Just people are managing more zeros, right? Some people are outrunning the debtors at, $1 million or $2 million. It's the same difference as you're still broke, right? If you're spending $1 million and one, and then not having clear sales goals or sales strategy. Right? Because you've got to go, it's not going to magically happen. The challenge with, prosperity thinking and is people sit back and go, oh, I should be able to think about it and it'll happen. No, you have to have some action and clear action around how am I going to get the kind of clients I want in my door, right? On my phone, whatever that is. And we talked about it a little bit, it's that ideal client, because we can all get clients, but if they can't afford to pay you, they're not the ideal client, right? So I think those are the budget, the forecast, sales goals, sales strategy. Those are imperative for your success. And again, I find a lot of entrepreneurs, until they get in coaching, they'll be clear in one area, but not all areas. We've got to be clear in all areas.
How do we recognize our ideal client?
Well, one is you look at who you've done business with in the past that it was a joy to work with, right? So what was their age group? What was their demographic, right? What kind of household income did they have? Was it 2 income or 1 income, right? What was their psychographic? That's the psychographic is my purchasing behaviors, right? It's like, do I want a Hyundai or do I want a Mercedes or do I want a Jaguar, right? That's a different demographic and psychographic. We both need cars, but someone's going to buy a Hyundai and someone's going to buy a Jaguar, right? So really looking at what's their buying preferences and making sure. And I want, age group, you want to look at, for me, my clients are lifelong learners. They're coachable. They're open to coaching, right? They're in that 35.
You have to be coachable.
Got to be coachable.
Yeah.
Right? Because if not, that's just a waste of money. So
the clients that do what I tell them, they achieve major results.
Right.
It's just, I know the roadmap. If you do what I ask, you're going to get there. Is it, you find it that same way?
So simple.
Yeah.
Just do what I say.
Just do what I tell you. Don't bark at me when I tell you to do all those burpees. Oh my gosh.
The burpee. Oh, the burpee, Linda.
I realized I needed to take down my workout that I have from my book that was on the board, because these ladies came in the other day and they were new and they were reading it and they were like, oh my God, 100 burpees, 100 lunges, 100 sit-ups. What? So I was like, ooh, I need to take that down. It's not a good sales tool. That's after you're in, right?
Right.
Oh my God. Now, as women, I know we can tend to be a little emotional at times. How do we keep from letting our emotions dictate our business success or failure?
Well, I think one of the unique advantages is we are emotional, right? So one is knowing that it can be an asset as much as it can be a detriment. So I don't want to lose my femininity in business because it does give me power. But I also I want to look at what's the result that we're creating, not my feeling about the result, right? So I either did it or I didn't do it. And that's a masculine trait, but we as women have to develop some of the masculinity in order to put structure in place, right? To have the discipline, to follow the result path. My emotion, my feminine side, allows me to connect. It allows me to feel my sisters. It allows me to, in front of a large room, be able to be connected to 500 people. And I'm on stage and they're in the audience. So I use that to my advantage. In my youth, my emotions ran me, right? Not going to lie. This girl was drama. Now my drama is more finesse, and I use it to propel me in a good way. I use my powers for good now, Linda. In my youth, because really how I felt in business was how my day went, and that's when I really started developing systems in business, because I realized I can't because one day I'd have a victory day and I'm like, woohoo, and then the next day I'm like, I'm so tired from my victory day, I gotta take a nap. Well, you can't run a business that way if I'm always taking naps after I have a good day. You gotta have some
Well, your energy, you had to learn to manage your energy, right? Because you could be all in to late hours of the night, and then the next day you're exhausted.
Right. So that's where I started creating systems, because the system allowed me to create predictable results. right? If you create the system that allows me to create consistency. And so that was a skill set that I had to develop. That's why I'm such an advocate of what is your sales system? What is your budget? What technology are you using? How are you organized? What kind of time management structure are you using? And I'm a very creative person. So that allows me to be very disciplined and very structured inside of my creativity, right? So if my calendar rings, it's time to move on to that next task, right? To go, oh, okay, I should be complete with that. If I'm not complete with that, I need to reschedule that. So it's being, I don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater and, but go, how do I use both sides to be the best business person, the best partner that I could be, the best mom that I could be, in order and to live out my life purpose, which is making a difference for humanity.
So one of the things I would like to say, as women, we multitask. We take on so much. And in this day and age, because we can have it all, we are doing it all. And sometimes we're feeling in overwhelm, or like we have to take off our superwoman cape now because we're making brownies, or we, basically we're just doing it all. How do we balance this and still have room for ourselves?
Well, I think the hardest thing I had to learn was how to say no, guilt-free, right? I had to be responsible of what I could do and what I couldn't do, because it all starts with me. To go, if I can't be on the PTA knowing the kind of work schedule I have, or I can't, make the brownies because I know the kind of schedule I have, because, sometimes you can't even make homemade ones anymore. You got to go buy them from the store, which makes
right. You're not allowed, right?
You're not allowed, which is great. Back in the day when my kids were young, I wasn't considered a real mom if I didn't bake them. I'm like, holy crap, I just want to bring the brownies, but I don't have time to bake. I told my daughter, I'm like, you got off so easy. You could be a real mom both ways. You can go buy it or cook them. My kids used to say, you're not a real mom. You don't make the cookies homemade. I'm like, whatever. I took them out of the tub. We baked them. That's homemade. So learning to say no is really one of the biggest skills that you can develop. To be responsible for your own schedule, be responsible for what you can do and what you can't do. And people will be upset, right? People will be disappointed, whatever, right? I think you can always agree, you can disagree, or you can counter propose. So if you ask me to do something, I can agree to do it. I can say, I apologize, I can't do it, or I can counter propose. I can't do it now, but I can do it at this time. Like, that's a skill set just in developing that will give you so much more freedom, versus if an email comes in or a call comes in, you feel like you have to take it right now. I don't have to take it right now. I'm on a call right now, right? But we have that, just our whole society is Google download, Google download, Google download. Well, slow down, right? Let me be with you right now. I don't want to be in my email. I don't want to be, on my phone. I want to be with you, and I want to be with our tribe and our community that you've put in place for us, so that I can truly have that soul-to-soul connection with everyone, whether they're online or whether they're face-to-face, versus trying to do so many things, because we're doing it half-assed. Let's not do it half-assed.
Right. You're doing too many things, right?
Right.
I think you can have everything. You just can't do it all at once.
Right. Absolutely. Just put it in your schedule. Put it in your schedule. If it's in the schedule, it's getting done. If it's not in the schedule, it's not getting done.
Let's talk money for a second.
That's my favorite topic.
Why is wealth my birthright? That's one.
Yeah.
And how do I attract money to me?
Perfect. Wealth is our birthright because, one, we live in a country that allows us to do that, right? So there's a lot of countries that you could have been born into that didn't allow you to do that, be that women aren't allowed to do that, be that. So thankfully, we're in a country that celebrates entrepreneurship. It celebrates equal rights. It celebrates the opportunity that we get to create whatever it is that we want. So I want to say that first off. Two, it's people think it's something that someone's going to dawn you with, like, here's my magic wand. Now, Linda, you can be wealthy. No. You get to choose, right? So we truly get to wake up and go, I want to recreate this life of mine called, if you were born in poverty part of it's mindset, right? You've got to look at what is that unconscious belief system that you have around money. Money doesn't grow on trees. We don't have any. I can make a dime go 10 ways. You know, we have all these beliefs that we were raised with, either from generations, generation after generation after generation, from our gender, man, woman. Men's belief around money is different than women's belief around money, right? From our community or our environment, right? What did you grow up in? What were your neighbors saying? What kind of homes did they live in? Right?
Money doesn't grow on trees, you know.
Right.
That was one of the things I remember hearing.
Yeah.
I'm like, it doesn't? Why not?
All that stuff creates the foundation called what are you thinking about money? And if you're not aware of it, if you don't do any work on it, it will sabotage you. It'll be that unconscious sabotage. I have a client that when I first met her, she was making about 80 grand a year, and we took her company to millions and millions of dollars. And still, her personal compensation is about $500,000 a year, and still every month, that's $50,000 a month. Every month, there's no money left. But you got to change the mindset. I can give you strategy all day long, and I can support you in building it all day long. But if we don't get to the core of what's stopping you, you will keep repeating the past, no matter how many zeros I throw at you. So that's the first thing, is really look at wealth is your birthright. And it's my responsibility to manage everything that's going on up here, right? What are my sabotage mechanisms? What are the things that are getting in my way, right? And then create, just like I did for my life and my work, is create that foundation of who you are around money. Like we have to recreate it. Because again, we're adopting our parents, we're adopting our grandparents, we're adopting, you know, maybe our husbands or our wives, like somebody's belief system around money, right? So let's create that together.
Now, how do I attract money to me? I want to make $1 million. What are my big tips for that?
Perfect. So if you want to make $1 million, you have to look at what skill sets do I have that I can leverage, right? And what is that industry? So if you look at, again, let's look at your business, right? And we go, okay, I want to, your business might make $1 million, but it's different than you making $1 million. So then we have to look at, so if the business makes $1 million, that's $100,000 a month, roughly. If the business does that, now how do I get Linda to have a compensation of $1 million? Do we need to bring in 2 million? Do we need to bring in 3 million so that I can pay you $1 million? What's that sweet spot? What's that number? So it all boils down to the numbers and the analytics to go, okay, so let's say that number's 3 million. I got to make $3 million in the studio in order for me to compensate Linda $1 million. Then we work it backwards to go, great, to make $3 million, how much is that every month? How much is that every week? How much is that every day? And for members, I'm making up how you run your business because I don't know enough about it. But if I look at it's membership driven, if it's class driven, how many in each unit or each division do I need to create to make that occur, right? So money doesn't magically fall out of sky, right? There's no secret fairy dust. It all goes back to what am I contributing to the world? Now, if you don't have that skill set, then go get that skill set. Benjamin Franklin said, take the coins from your purse, invest them in your mind, and your mind will fill your purse overflowing. I have spent probably $500,000 in my education, not all at once, over time. That $500,000 has paid me over and over and over again, has paid my clients over and over and over again. So I'm an advocate of just being a lifelong learner to go, what is that skill set that I need to leverage, to resell, to repackage so I can get to that next level? You have to be willing to invest in yourself and invest in your mind.
I love that answer. And it goes along with my next question. So I'm doing all of that, but then I find out there's only one me. And so you can only go so far just with you.
Yes.
So wouldn't you find it true that if you're wanting to make more money, you have to kind of bring others along for the ride and duplicate yourself?
You do have to duplicate yourself. And with today in technology, we can duplicate yourself online. You can create online courses to go, how do I transfer my skill set in other ways? You can do it in hiring team, hiring another little, a mini Linda, right? And what, as bringing on team members, this used to be so hard for me because I want everyone to be me. And if I can do it, why can't they do it? And so I was a little bit of a hard ass, right? Just, and the reality is if they're 70% of you, that's better than no percent of you. Right.
Right, and because you are only one person.
Right.
You can do a lot, but there's a limit to what you can do. I mean, I don't believe in limitation, but there is a limit.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you leverage other vehicles to go, how do I reinvent this? Look at the Peloton. There's 7,000 people on the class today. 7,000 people.
Right.
On the class today. Every time I'm on there as a business mind, I'm just going, that is amazing that they have 7,000 people. We're all paying $50 a month. I think some are higher. That's what I'm paying, $50 a month. Plus we all invested $2,500 in this bicycle, right? And you're like, they reinvented fitness training.
Right. So I've been saying to myself, I'm limiting my thinking by just being in the gym. So I created the Sweat Project, which is an online course. And now I have a journal to go with that has the entire 8-week plan inside. So now I'm not only is it a tool for the people in the studio, but it's reaching people all over the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, it's exciting because there's only one of you and people will meet you all over the, like when you come to speak, right? Oh, I want you to train with me. And you're like, oh, I don't live there. Oh, I'm on the East Coast, you're on the West Coast. So it's how do you reinvent your business? How do you reinvent it? And I always like to look at other business models. Like Peloton is bananas. Like I'm amazed every day that I cycle. So that is crazy how many people are participating to go, okay, how can I reinvent? What can I do? That's out of the box and different so that I can touch more lives. I can touch more people. I can make a bigger difference.
Well, I have so loved our conversation today, and I know a lot of you out there are going to want to know, how can you contact Susie, get more of her, work with her? How can they reach you on social media? How can they find you? And what are some of your products?
Perfect. So you can find me. There's several different places. So my social media handle is my name, Susie Carder, C-A-R-D, as delicious, E-R. And then my website is the same, susiecarder.com. I've got products on there. I've got some free stuff on there. You can go and look at our wealth profile and our wealth assessment, so you can really get some juicy nuggets about where you're at and where you want to go. And then another place that you can find us is motivatingthemasses.com. And that is, I work with Lisa Nichols and help her run that company and create that dynamo as well. And we've got lots of courses in there that we can come and play with, try, get into the community, get into the conversation of abundance and, taking your life on in a whole new way.
I love it. I love it. What are 3 simple truths you could leave with the audience today?
So 1 is be true to yourself. That's the first one. 2 is believe in something bigger than yourself. And the third one is make sure whatever you do, that you're making a contribution towards humanity and that you're making the world a better place. When you stand in those 3 things, the universe will support you and money will come to you. But you got to get clear and you have to have a plan. I appreciate your time, Linda. Thank you so much for sharing me with your tribe. I'm here anytime you need me. I am your sister in the journey, your sister in the process, and more importantly, your sister in prosperity.
I love it. I love it. I just want to acknowledge you so much for just being so real and motivating and just open. Like, I just want to say raw and real, and just sharing your experience and your expertise with all of us, because you have reached high levels of success and you've also been in despair. So I think that relates to a lot of us out there. So I just want to thank you so much for coming on and just sharing that part of you. And I just really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you. Have an amazing, amazing day, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world. We support you and know that you're not alone.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks everybody for listening to the Sisterhood of Sweat.